Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. In this video, we'll look at words that end in ation, like contamination or education, versus words that end in ated, like contaminated or educated. So I'm talking about these words to help you with these specific words, but also to see some patterns and to help correct some error patterns I often hear non-native speakers use in American English. And these come from the fact that your brain is understanding and using many accent patterns correctly, and it's just applying some rules to these words that don't apply. So the rules being, in words that end in ation, like contamination, education, corporation, it's very consistent that we stress on the syllable that has the A, so the ation syllable, like nation in contamination, or cation in education, or ration in corporation. This is something you can count on. It's always going to happen, and it's a pattern that your brain probably recognizes and uses correctly. What I mean by stressing that syllable is it's going to have the clear vowel and it's going to be the longest of all the syllables in the word. So in contamination, I have 4 syllables that are short and the nay syllable is going to be long. Contamination. If I said this differently, it would affect the stress, the patterns, and also how we say those vowel sounds. So looking at contamination, the letter O says the vowel schwa. It sounds like rather than an O or an ah. The letter A does have the black cat vowel, contamination, so there might be a little secondary stress there. And then the letter I is going to be either an I or another schwa, contamination, contamination. Doesn't make much difference as long as I'm using a quick and reduced vowel. And then the tion almost has no vowel at all. I'm moving very quickly from the sh to the n, shun, contamination. So I'm stressing on that nay. Now the error that I often hear is that people will take this idea that that a near the end needs to be stressed, and they'll overgeneralize it, meaning they might say contaminated, which is not correct. In contaminated, it's actually the tam syllable that gets the stress. So we might have secondary stress here on the nay. It does have that clear vowel, but it's not stressed. I don't want contaminated, but rather contaminated, contaminated. So I'm stressing here in the second syllable and I'm short on the others. More details on contaminated. We again have the unstressed con. So when con starts a word, it's going to have that schwa sound if I'm not stressing on it. It sounds like kun rather than con or kon. And then I have again my black cat vowel, tam, on my stress syllable. Again, my letter I is going to say an I or a schwa. And then we have for the T in contaminated, we tend to, in American English, make that a flap. So it sounds a little more like a light D. And then my ed is going to sound like id. So thinking of the word did can help you. Did, nated, contaminated. I also recommend for both of these that you start on the stress syllable to get the rhythm. For contamination, that would sound like nation, contamination. That'll help your brain remember that. And for contaminated, it would sound like taminated, contaminated. That can help you break the pattern if you have that error I mentioned of trying to stress on the A syllable instead of the tam syllable in contaminated. So similar patterns to contamination and contaminated would be education versus educated. So educated is stressed on the first syllable, not the aid syllable, or corporation versus incorporated. So incorporated is stressed on the second syllable. Another reason that you might have a tendency to want to stress the A in these aided words is that we do that sometimes. So in debated or related, in these 3-syllable words, it is the A syllable that's stressed. But notice how incorporated and infatuated or educated, well, these ones have more syllables. So I'm not sure exactly what the pattern or rule is there. Generally, it's a great idea to look up these words in the dictionary, and what you'll see is there's a little marker before the stress syllable. You can also, in an online dictionary, listen to the pronunciation and really think about and hear where you hear that stress syllable happening. If you use that in combination with seeing where it should be, that can help your brain to recognize the syllable stress. So it's a little bit tricky, and it's a little bit, you can't rely on 100% any of these patterns, but do watch out that you don't by default just always stress the A in an aided word that oftentimes that doesn't have the stress, versus in an ation word, you can really count on that A syllable having the stress. Excuse me. If you have a word that falls into these categories that you're uncertain of that you'd like help with, you can leave a comment on this video. It doesn't have to be about this topic either. Of course, you know that in our Word of the Day series, what I'm doing is covering all of your requests, and I have a wonderful list. Thank you so much for those of you who've been making suggestions and asking, making requests. I'm working my way through that list day by day, and we'll get to your word soon if you have requested something and haven't seen it yet. You can also attend on Fridays our live question and answer class, in which you can ask about words or patterns, pronunciation, anything to help improve your overall communication in American English. Just type those in the chat and I'll answer them for you live. That's every Friday at 12 o'clock Seattle time, 3 o'clock Eastern time on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much, those of you who have subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate your support. And if you haven't yet, you might want to consider doing that, because it'll show my content then on your homepage. You can click the bell to get notified when I'm live or when I've uploaded new videos, or you can turn that off. You don't need to be notified, but it's just a way to interact with the channel, show your support, and to make sure that you see the latest and greatest. Do also check out our free online practice materials on speechmodification.com. We have a large range of videos, audios, blog entries, and resources for you. And we have free online courses on our speechmodification.com page as well. So check those out. If you haven't yet, any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on this video and I'll answer you as quickly as I can. Thanks so much for your support, and a special shout out to our channel members who have joined the channel. I really appreciate your support. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye everyone. Hope to see you again soon.